Some 225 million years ago, our planet was a hostile place to live. Numerous volcano eruptions caused several high-magnitude earthquakes, which as part of a chain reaction, triggered more volcanoes to erupt. Lava streams were everywhere. The air, full with volcanic ashes and poisonous gases, like sulfur dioxide, hydrogen sulfide and hydrogen halides, was hard to breathe. The reason for all that tectonic activity was the breakup of the supercontinent Pangaea. As explained by the plate tectonics theory, continents and other major landforms are created as a result of Earth's subterranean movements. Powered by lava, the activities of mantle convection currents, ridge push, and slab pull force the tectonic plates to move. Despite those hostile conditions, dinosaurs managed to dominate life on land during the Mesozoic era, which lasted from approximately 225 million to 65 million years ago. Over a time span of 75 million years, Pangaea split into Laurasia and Gondwana. Laurasia broke up into today's North America, Europe and Asia, while Gondwana formed South America, Antarctica, and Australia. Furthermore, the remaining main body of Gondwana formed today's Africa. India was a large island situated off the Australian coast and separated from Asia by the Tethys Ocean. Pushed by Pangaea and Gondwana's breakup, India started a slow northward drift towards Asia. The occurrences, as shown in this animation within a few seconds, happened in reality over a period of 70 million years. The collision between the Eurasian and Indian continental plates, combined with the closing of the former Tethys Ocean, and the initiation of the Himalayan uplift, caused the continental crust to thicken, due to folding and faulting by compressional forces, thus pushing up the Himalayan and the Tibetan plateau. The continental crust along the collision line is twice the average thickness at around 75 kilometers. The thickening of the continental crust marked the end of volcanic activity in the region, as any magma moving upwards would solidify before it could reach the surface. Today, the Himalayas are still rising by more than 1 centimeter per year, as India continues to move northwards into Asia, which explains the frequent occurrence of shallow earthquakes in the region. However, the forces of weathering and erosion are lowering the Himalayas at about the same rate. In this video, we will have a closer look at all 14, above 8,000-meter high mountains on our planet. Since we already learned how the mountain ranges in the Himalaya and Karakoram regions were created, we will now focus on each 8,000er, one by one, and underline all must-know facts, including their unique features and highlights. As an introduction, let's have a quick look at all members of the 8,000er Club, while enjoying a virtual flight from Karakoram in the west, towards the Himalayas in the east. Located between the Indian subcontinent and the Tibetan plateau, The vast area covering the Himalayan and the Karakoram mountain ranges, including several glaciers in between, has constituted an enigma for mankind since ages. It is easy to understand the feelings of the local population towards our planet's highest mountains. They are humbled by the greatness of the majestic peaks, and align them somehow with gods. The people are convinced that the mountains are the residences of some mighty deities. For example, the Hindu goddess Parvati, wife of god Shiva, is believed to reside on top of Annapurna. Furthermore, for many centuries, the indigenous people have been grateful for the never-ending freshwater source feeding rivers, hence enabling farmers to grow rice and other essential agricultural products. In this regard, Kangchenjunga derives its name from the Tibetan language, which translates to the 5 treasures of the high snow. The name refers to the 5 peaks of the mountain, each representing one of the 5 repositories of gods, namely salt, grain, precious stones, gold, and holy scrolls. The Himalayas stretch over approximately 2,500 kilometers or 1,550 miles from west to east. The territory varies in width from about 200 to 400 kilometers or 125 to 250 miles. To prevent confusion which might occur by jumping around from mountain to mountain, in the following review section, we will highlight each 8,000er in reverse order according to their rank in the world's top highest mountains list. Although it is the lowest of all above 8,000-meter peaks, Shishapangma is unique in many aspects. The mountain is located entirely in the Tibet Autonomous Region of China, 5 kilometers from the border with Nepal, and it is part of the Lantan range of the Himalayas. Shishapangma has 3 notable peaks. The West Peak stands at an elevation of 7,966 meters or 26,135 feet. The Central Peak, at 8,008 meters or 26,273 feet, is almost 2 hours of dangerous ridge climbing away from the true summit, at an altitude of 8,027 meters or 26,335 feet. The first successful ascent to the summit was achieved by a Chinese expedition, led by Xu Jing, on May 2, 1964, making Shishapangma the last 8,000er to be conquered for the first time. Shishapangma is often considered as one of the easier 8,000-meter peaks in terms of technical climbing. However, it still poses significant challenges while crossing the razor-sharp ridge between the central peak and the true summit, especially during harsh weather conditions. Climbers commonly take the south route to the true summit. Along this well-tested route, the iconic peak offers climbers the opportunity to summit an 8,000-meter mountain with relatively low technical difficulty, but the potential dangers caused by avalanches, frostbite or high-altitude sickness need to be taken into consideration at all times. 35 people have died so far climbing Shishapangma. The latest fatal accidents happened during last year's climbing season. Two massive avalanches occurred on October 7, 2023, one in the morning around 11 a.m., followed by another one around 1 p.m. in the afternoon. The avalanches rolled down the south route and swept away everything on their way, while several climbing groups were making a push to the summit. You are now watching original footage, taken short before the first avalanche hit the climbers. Two American climbers, Anna Gutu and Gina Marie Rizu Shidlo, accompanied by their guides Mingma Sherpa and Tenjin Lama Sherpa, were confirmed dead. Months later, in May 2024, their bodies were found buried under the snow masses, and recovered by a search and rescue team under the lead of NIMS Purja. As a tragic twist of fate, Gutu and Rizu Shidlo, who died on the same day, on almost the same spot, were fierce competitors. They were aiming to become the first American woman to climb the true summits of all 14 above 8,000-meter peaks. Soon after scaling Cho Oyo, they transferred to Shishapangma, which was for both of them the last missing summit success on the way to achieving this prestigious goal. Gasherbrum means beautiful mountain. The name refers to a remarkable massif in the Karakoram range, which among several notable peaks, also includes 3 of the world's 14 highest mountains, namely, Gasherbrum I, Broad Peak and Gasherbrum II. The massif is in close vicinity to K2, separated only by the Baltoro Glacier, which stretches for 63 kilometers or 39 miles in length. It is one of the longest glaciers outside the polar regions. At an elevation of 8,035 meters or 26,362 feet, Gasherbrum II is the 3rd highest peak of the Gasherbrum Massif, and the 13th highest mountain in the world. It's commonly considered one of the easiest 8,000-meter peaks. Well, it might be easy in comparison with Annapurna or K2, however, climbing this iconic mountain definitely requires a full set of mountaineering skills, and underestimating some difficult spots on the way to the summit would be a serious mistake, which could lead to fatal accidents. The mountains of the Gasherbrum group were explored in 1909 by the Italian Prince Luigi Amadeo, Duke of the Abruzzi. The Duke concentrated his efforts mainly to scaling K2. However, after failing to find a safe route to the summit, he declared K2 as impossible to climb, which led to the nickname, the Impossible Mountain. Gasherbrum II was first climbed on July 7, 1956, by an Austrian expedition, which included Fritz Moravec, Joseph Lahr, and Hans Willenpart. According to Himalayan database, over the years, there had been more than 1,150 successful ascents of Gasherbrum II as of 2022, while only 21 people had died trying, a fatality rate of about 1.8%, the second lowest among the above 8,000-meter peaks. The southwest ridge is the preferred route to the summit, because it involves less amount of risks for climbers. Regarding the final summit push, a few variations have emerged since the very first ascent in 1956. A traverse, called Banana Ridge, is technically the most challenging part of the ascent. After reaching the summit, mountaineers are awarded with spectacular views of Karakoram, with notable peaks visible in all directions. The Polish ski mountaineer Andrezj Bargiel made history on July 22, 2018, after skiing down from the summit of K2. Following this huge success, on July 19, 2023, Andrezj Bargiel, this time made the highest descent from Gasherbrum II on skis. He summited the mountain without the use of supplementary oxygen, and began his ski descent from 26,362 feet, or 8,035 meters. Broad Peak, the world's 12th highest mountain, is also the second highest peak in the Gasherbrum Massif. Despite its enormous elevation of 8,051 meters, or 26,414 feet, Broad Peak stands in the shadow of K2. The two giants face each other, located on the opposite sides of the Baltoro Glacier. Broad Peak is a challenging climb. It starts steep and the steepness never ends. For example, Camp 2, at 6,100 meters, is not on a plateau but carved right into the slope. It is therefore a good idea to clip into the rope whenever climbers go out of the tent instead of risking to slip. The first ascent of Broad Peak was achieved between June 8 and 9, 1957 by an Austrian expedition led by Markus Schmuck, together with a team of climbers from Pakistan. The first ascent took the West Spur, aka West Ridge, and was accomplished without the aid of supplemental oxygen, high-altitude porters, or base camp support. Until today, the West Ridge remains to be the preferred route to the summit. The peak's name aptly describes its physical characteristics, with a summit that extends over 1.5 kilometers or 7/8 of a mile in length. Other than Broad Peak, the mountain has 4 more summits, while 2 of them, namely Rocky Summit and Broad Peak Central, are above 8,000 meters as well. According to the Himalayan database, with more than 450 successful ascents, Broad Peak, which by the way, was named K3 by Montgomery in 1856, has a fatality rate of 8%. Take a moment to admire the 360-degree view from the summit, before starting the review of the highest peak in the Gasherbrum Massif. Getting caught in a surprise blizzard between high camps while climbing an above 8,000-meter mountain is surely not a pleasant situation. And if that mountain is Gasherbrum I, then the occurrence of such a weather phenomenon can be life-threatening. The highest peak of the Gasherbrum Massif is also the world's 11th highest mountain at 8,080 meters, or 26,510 feet above sea level. With an unbelievably low number of recorded successful ascents of around 350 only, Gasherbrum I is still one of the least known above 8,000-meter mountains, and is rarely climbed to this day. Even on the established routes, climbers get the feeling that they are breaking new ground. The reason for these attributes is the extreme remoteness of Gasherbrum I, which is completely surrounded by notable peaks, among others Gasherbrum II. Originally designated K5 by Montgomery in 1856, Gasherbrum I was later named by William Martin Conway, the Hidden Peak, in reference to its extreme remoteness. As per 2023, the confirmed number of deadly accidents on the mountain is 32, leading to a fatality rate of 9%. Gasherbrum I was first climbed on July 5, 1958, by Pete Schoening and Andy Kaufman of an American expedition led by Nicholas B. Clinch. The exceptional mountaineer Pete Schoening was 5 years ago one of the members of the August 1953 American expedition, led by Charles Houston, set out to climb K2. Schoening, despite already holding his teammate Art Gilkey on belay during the attempted traverse to Camp 7, was able, through strength, quickness, and skill, to arrest the fall of all 6 men, with his ice axe wedged against a boulder frozen in the mountainside. Other major achievements on and around the mountain include the 1984 double traverse of Gasherbrum I and Gasherbrum II by Reinhold Messner and Hans Kammerlander, without returning to base camp in between. Furthermore, worth mentioning are the first winter ascent in 2012, the first alpine-style ascent without supplementary oxygen in 2017, and also the establishment of 2 new routes to the summit on the northwest and southwest faces. Now, let's climb the last few hundred meters and reach the summit of Gasherbrum I, while admiring the surrounding natural beauty of Karakoram peaks. The achievement of summiting Annapurna on 3 June 1950 was groundbreaking in the history of mountaineering, and garnered international acclaim. The ascent was all the more remarkable because it is the very first above 8,000 meters mountain conquered by the mankind. The peak was explored, reconnoitered, and climbed all within one season. Maurice Herzog and Louis Lachenal reached the summit of Annapurna I without the use of supplemental oxygen. Furthermore, it is the only 8,000-meter summit that was reached at the first attempt. Annapurna, which in Sanskrit means full of food, is a massif in the Himalayas, located in north-central Nepal, that includes several impressive peaks. To be precise, the highest peak of the massif, Annapurna I, is the 10th highest mountain in the world at 8,091 meters or 26,545 feet above sea level. In the proximity of Annapurna I, there are 13 peaks over 7,000 meters, and 16 more over 6,000 meters. Nearby of the Annapurna massif, there are 2 more above 8,000-meter peaks. Dhaulagiri is the world's 7th highest peak, and Manaslu is number 8 on the list of the 14 highest mountains on our planet. The 1950 French expedition conducted surveillance and analysis of Annapurna's steep south face, and decided to take the seemingly easier and less dangerous northwest route to the summit. Finding a suitable location for the base camp, and establishing several high camps before the start of the monsoon season, were difficult tasks which they managed to accomplish under enormous pressure. Remarkably enough, the second successful ascent of Annapurna happened not sooner than 20 years later. In 1970, a British expedition under the lead of Chris Bonington deliberately took the never-attempted-before, difficult and dangerous route to the summit. They used rock climbing techniques and put fixed ropes up the 3,000 meters high steep south face. Don Willans and Dougal Haston reached the summit on the 27th of May 1970. According to Himalayan database, between 1950 and 2012, Annapurna I had 191 ascents and 61 deaths on record. During the last decade, the situation improved with the help of widely use of supplemental oxygen, reconnaissance with well-maintained drones and fixed ropes. In 2023, Annapurna had 476 summits and 73 deaths on record. In terms of the fatality rate, Annapurna is no longer the world's most deadly mountain.
Now, please enjoy some spectacular views on and around the summit, and imagine being there at this very moment. hope that you liked this video and got some value out of it. The review of the world's highest mountains will continue in part 2 of this mini-series. We will start with Nanga Parbat and end with Mount Everest. Don't miss watching it. Thank you.